saved it. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. It's the NHL Pearls of Wisdom show. And we are live.
Yeah.
I had the wrong. I was so busy today because I had to take my son for a shot. I forgot to put it at 1 p.m. So we'll
Oh, okay.
see what
Yeah, it's
happens.
it's 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 set for 3 on here my time, so we're
Well, we're
good. All right,
good
we're
now,
live.
but
Sweet.
it's supposed to be a reminder. So, but John Weichel, how you doing, my friend? And it's
Maybe I can like post a link or something on your Facebook page.
Yeah, go ahead, do that. I put it on Twitter, but you could put it on Facebook too or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have Twitter.
Mm.
Okay, 2 are watching right now. There should be more that watch it, so I'm gonna change
Oh
that.
yeah.
Um, so anyways, yeah. Oh, so John is on here. Okay, so we got a few people watching it right now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, I just wanted to make sure they were straight. Yeah, yeah. I mean, getting that, you had to do your thing, so. Oh, did you message me on Facebook too? Oh yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to get on late. I had to do some research for school stuff.
No worries. No worries.
Wow, who's echoing?
No, that was me. I just didn't have the sound down. I put it on my phone so I can see everybody. Uh, it's, if I go on to other things, I like to have it on my phone.
So, so anyways, yeah, back to what you were saying though. Prior to us being live on the air, I think you do make a good point because like this cup final wasn't really all that great.
No.
After game two, it was like okay, like you can kind of tell that Tampa's gonna basically run away with it. Um, Carey Price kind of picked it up a little bit more towards the end there. I thought Price played great last night. He only allowed like 1 goal on what was it, 30 shots or
Yeah.
something like that. He had a good game. Vasi had a good game. I was surprised you didn't know who the Conn Smythe was because I like the whole presentation after the cup. I think the Conn Smythe trophy looks pretty cool. Obviously, no trophy, as I've already said on here, touches the Stanley Cup. But I was curious as to what they were going to do because prior to entering the Cup final, obviously Price was in the Conn Smythe conversation for the Canadians. He was going to win it if they were going to win the Cup. That was like 100% guaranteed. And then on the Tampa side, you had Point, Kucherov, and Vasi. It was like a three-headed monster. And I was saying last night, to a couple of buddies of mine, I was like, if Vasi shuts this game out,
Yeah.
there is no excuse not to give him the Conn Smythe. He has closed 5 series in a row going back to last year's final against Dallas with a shutout.
Yeah.
Shutout against Dallas to win the cup, shutout against Florida in the Battle of Florida, which was arguably the most exciting playoff series. We'll probably get to that in a little bit. Shutout against the Hurricanes to end them, shutout against the Islanders, another awesome series to end that. That was the real Stanley Cup final, pretty much. And then shutout to end this cup right here. So Lightning went back-to-back cups in a 9-month span, which is pretty impressive. Vasi was lights out, well deserving the Conn Smythe. Final statistics are him going 16-7, 1.90 GAA, a 937 save percentage, and 5 shutouts. And like I said, the 4 clinchers. I think he had a shutout. I think his other shutout was one of the Islanders games or something. But regardless, those stats are stupidly insane. Point was taken out of the Conn Smythe conversation because he didn't really do much in the Cup final. He only had 3 assists. That was it. No goals. He wasn't really much of a factor. Canadians did a good job of kind of neutralizing him, limiting him. Kucherov had a pretty good Cup final. 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists. But it's not enough to overtake Vasi in the Conn Smythe. Like if one of those two went off in the Cup, like let's just say it was like a game 7 and Kucherov had an awesome series and then he gets like a game-winning goal double overtime. It'd be hard not to give the Conn Smythe to him at that point. I think the voters weigh the Conn Smythe more and more as it gets to the later rounds. And Point did next to nothing in the Cup final. And Kucherov had a pretty good Cup final, but Vasi, it was mostly just about him just shutting things down, closing out the series. Vasi was on fire. It's not an opinion. Let's not overthink it. He's the best goalie in
No,
hockey,
yeah.
hands
No
down.
doubt.
Like,
No.
Fleury's good, Price is good, Hellebuck's good,
Vasilevsky's the
but
best hands down.
Vasi is number one. He is the best goalie in hockey. He arguably could have won the Conn Smythe last year because it was. I remember it being between him and Hedman and Point and Kucherov because Vasi's stats from last year's playoffs, his GAA was the exact same. His save percentage was like a 9.25. I think he had like one shutout, I think, or something like that. I mean, rightfully went to Hedman, which Hedman was on another level in last year's playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tampa's good. They're a really good team. I kind of feel stupid for picking against them, but I just had that. I don't know. Hockey's also that sport where like the underdog wins a lot. And you and I talked about this before. We kind of thought Tampa would wear out a little bit because, I mean, like I just said, they just repeated in a 9-month span instead of a 1-year span. So we were both kind of thinking, well, maybe Tampa's going to wear out. They've had a shorter off season, but that wasn't the case at all, and they were great. Islanders, no questions asked, gave them the hardest fight through this year's playoff run, maybe even last year's playoff run, possibly too. The Islanders have given them a good fight 2 years in a row. That makes me kind of curious as to how that team's going to look next year once they get more wingers that can score, once they get more defensemen that can get involved in the offense. So those are the two things we've talked about before too. So I just find that to be interesting, and that's a lot that I have to say. Sorry that I was kind of yapping too much about it.
Oh, that's all right. That's what we're here for. Uh, I'm just saying hi to H&R here. Yeah. I honestly, I think my picks this year were too emotional, to tell you the honest truth. I don't know why I got really wrapped up in that Carolina team.
Yeah, you were a Tampa hater
I
for a
still hate.
while.
I still don't like that team.
You were like, "Oh, they're not that good." I was like, "Dude, they're
No,
pretty
I didn't
good."
say they weren't good. I was just.
Yeah, at one point,
I still don't believe that Kucherov needed to get that surgery when he did. I don't believe it, and I'm glad they're changing the rule. Now,
are they talking about
yeah, they're going to
ending a
change the
loophole?
rule.
That's what I figured.
Sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I kind of cut you off
No,
there.
they're going to change the rule. I've heard several different things. I thought one of them I read was that it was going to happen for sure. Uh, I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, one of the options is that any team you ice in the playoffs, whoever's on the ice has to be under the cap. So you can't ice a team that's over the cap. You can have people in sitting that are under the cap that put you over, that are not playing that game, but you can't ice a team that's over the cap. So
Okay.
that's what
Yeah,
I
I'm
heard.
sure they're going to change it. That wouldn't surprise me because Tampa was what, like 18 million over the cap, and Kucherov takes what, 10 million of that, I think.
Yeah, Kucherov. I want to say he's making 8, but
Or eight. I was just
you could be
guessing a
right.
number.
You could be right. Yeah,
That was a guess.
that's
That was
a
a guess.
reasonable guess. That's a very reasonable guess.
Yeah, because he's the best winger in
Yeah,
hockey.
it's a very reasonable guess. Nine. You weren't too far off. 9.5.
Oh, dang, I was close. I mean, I knew he's the best winger in hockey. At least he's top three,
No,
like
he's the
whatever. But
best. He's
still,
the best.
yeah,
Yeah, he's the
yeah,
best.
he's really good.
This he's the first winger or player since Gretzky or Mario Lemieux to get over 30 points 2 playoff series in a row.
Yep.
That's
I was just about to say that stat.
that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, he's amazing. But yeah, I figured they would change the loophole because I'm sure every team's crying about it, complaining about it. I think Tampa would have won the cup either way, in my opinion. Yeah, the rule's stupid, but they didn't really do anything illegal.
Well,
So I,
it's not provably illegal. You
yeah, they're going
can't
to change
prove it
it.
if you have a doctor saying that he needs surgery. I just it was too coincidental. They waited till halfway through the season to say that he needed surgery after they tried to get rid of Johnson in many ways. Let's say somebody took Johnson. Do you think Kucherov doesn't play in the regular season? I think he plays. But so that's not. Is it illegal?
Yeah,
You can't prove it. They worked the rules
yeah.
and they got away with it. That's all. But
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, they'll definitely change it. I mean, that I guess it kind of does make the league look a little bit bad that Tampa won. But I'm looking at the comments here. Yeah, Mercer. Yeah, the Colorado Vegas series. I had a real hard time picking that one, and we all knew that was going to be a second round matchup from the beginning of the season. Like, if you looked at those teams in the West, it's like, okay, like you know that it's going to be Avs and Vegas. So like there were a little bit of parts of the playoffs are predictable. Like everybody just knew that they were the clear, no doubt about it, two best teams in the West. I had to go back and forth, but I went with Vegas because the President's Trophy's cursed, still is. So I'm curious to see when that curse is broken. Also, too, the Canadian curse is still alive too, or the Patrick Waugh curse, or whatever you want to call it. Since the Canadians lost last night,
Yeah.
Price would not have won the Conn Smythe unless the Habs won the Cutler Dink, and there's no way on God's green earth they were going to give the Conn Smythe to Price, who lost. I mean, it's happened before. It's very rare, but the way Vasi played, you had to give it to him. Like if Vasi didn't get the Conn Smythe, he should be suing the NHL
Oh, yeah.
because to me that was the clear, no doubt about it, playoff MVP. Kucherov may be an exception. Point, no, I'm sorry, he did nothing in the Cup final. He doesn't deserve it. 3 assists doesn't cut it in the Cup final. I mean, the stakes are getting bigger by then. So, anyways, that's my opinion. Price
Yeah.
was great in the playoffs, and I've been saying it here, and I'll say it again. It does not surprise me at all if the Canadians completely miss the playoffs next year, or maybe they like claw their way in or just miss it. They're not built for 82 games. Look at what happened last year. They really shouldn't have made it, but the NHL is like, all right, let's just have 24 teams. The Canadians are a big market. They had like a 1 or 2% chance of even making it at the time when COVID hit. So they kind of got fortunate just to get thrown in there. Otherwise, in any other regular circumstance, they would not have made the playoffs. And then this year coming around, um, I mean, yeah, they were impressive in the playoffs. They got healthy at the right time. Price turned to Super Saiyan in the playoffs, but they were playing in a 56 game season instead of an 82. So it would not surprise me whatsoever if the Canadians don't make the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to be as bad as the Sabres, which that's I mean, an elementary hockey team is probably better than the Sabres at this point, especially when they trade Eichel in the next couple weeks or maybe even next week and a half or whatever. Because you got to think, too, if the season goes back to normal next year, which it should be a complete normal 82 game season. Atlantic is nasty. You have the Bruins, you have the Lightning, you have the Panthers, you have the, I know I'm forgetting a team, the Leafs. And we all know the Leafs choke in the playoffs, but let's not forget the Leafs are a typical powerhouse in the regular season. They're built for regular season hockey, not for playoffs. So those are 4 teams right there that could be better than the Canadians. Ottawa maybe might surprise people, possibly too. They have a couple good young guys. I don't really know if they're ready to take that next step that soon, but like it wouldn't surprise me if they like got a wild card spot. But also too, since it's back to the East and West, let's not forget how nasty the Metro is going to be. The Rangers, the Islanders, the Caps, the Penguins, the
Flyers.
not the Jackets, Hurricanes, Hurricanes, and I said Islanders. That's 5 teams right there. 5 teams that could be pretty darn good. Maybe Fly. I don't know about the Fly. Well, Flyers are good every
It's
other
all
year.
about
Maybe
Carter
them
Hart
too.
for the Flyers.
Yeah, that's true. If he can go back to what he was 2 years ago, then the Flyers definitely have a good chance. So, like the Metro is potentially real deep. Jackets are going to suck next year. I'm already counting them out. They're not going to make the playoffs next year. I have a they have a higher the Jackets players have a higher chance of getting struck by lightning, no pun intended, than they do making the playoffs next year. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be harder for the Canadians to make it next year. I firmly do believe that. Price will never win a Stanley Cup. I mean, that sucks for him. And we said it before, him or Lundqvist, probably the top 2 goalies that have never won a cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think they'll be in there. You got Suzuki, Kokiniemi, a year older, uh, and the thing is, what are they going to do with Drouin? He was their best shutdown centerman. The problem I think I have with it is, like you said, they were built for the playoffs. It was a short season. Are they going to be able to, over a long term, be able to produce? Is Price going to get back? You know, because Price didn't really have a great regular season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be pretty tough for them.
Yeah.
I think Vasilevsky's best was against Florida, actually. I mean, Florida
Yeah.
probably scared them more than anybody. And he,
I think
he
the
was just
Islanders did.
crushing it in. I don't. They didn't. I didn't think the Islanders got as many high quality scoring chances as the Florida Panthers did. Um, their game usually doesn't say that. Although he was very good in for the Islanders too.
Well, yes, you also have the thing, too, the Islanders took them to 7. Did they are actually? I think Florida took them to
Six,
6.
yeah.
The Battle of Florida was an awesome series. That was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, Lauren says there'll be some heavy tanking the next 2 years. Probably. It's two
Um,
huge drafts.
my question is, Perlo, since we can all agree the Cup wasn't all that great, which whatever, not the end of the world. What do you think the most entertaining playoff series was this year?
That's
I think Predators and Hurricanes has to be up there. That was an awesome
yeah,
series. It seemed like almost every game was going into OT.
yeah. That was a good
Battle of
one.
Florida was good.
Colorado Vegas was really good,
Yeah,
but
that I was gonna say that one was pretty awesome too.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say probably Colorado Vegas. It's too bad Colorado petered out there. It could have been one for the ages, but they petered out at the end, unfortunately. Um, Vegas versus Minnesota next year in the finals. Already, we're putting next year in the
Oh
finals.
Lord,
That's a
I
long
can't
ways
predict that
away.
far ahead.
I like. First of
Yeah,
all,
yeah, that's like 11 months away.
Vegas has got to get a center. Uh,
Yeah, if Vegas can win that Eichel sweepstakes and not really have to give up everything, then they have a real chance. And let's not forget, they are exempt from expansion, completely exempt.
Vegas. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no way Vegas is going to get that done.
Yeah, so I mean, if they can get Eichel, they are in the driver's seat for the Stanley Cup next
I
season.
can't see them getting Eichel. They don't have enough in the
Uh,
cupboard to do that. I don't
well, I
think
mean, I just yeah, I meant like if they
they'd have to
can. I
give
don't think
up
they'll let
Theodore
you.
for sure. Theodore for sure would be the they'd have to give him up. Probably Carlson and like they wouldn't have much left on their roster. That would be the problem with that. And
Actually, wait, they can't. Oh,
they
sorry.
don't have any prospects hardly at all.
I was gonna say I don't think Vegas and the Wild can be a finals. Aren't the Wild in the West in a normal season?
Oh, wait a sec. Oh, I think he's saying Vegas. Is he saying for the cup or is Mercer? What is that in? Because Habs and Vegas, I say Vegas and Mini or Vegas and Mini. Yeah, they can't play in the
I don't think
finals. They can play in the Western
they
finals.
can't. Yeah, they could play in the Western Finals. I mean, it's possible Minnesota maybe they were pretty good
Maybe they
this
were
year.
talking about missing the playoffs next year.
Yeah, Tarasenko once out of St. Louis. I did hear about that. He's been injured a lot the past 2 years
Pretty
though.
much the
I
whole
don't
two
really know if
years.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know if I would give up much for him. But I tell you what, if he goes to like the Islanders, that's gonna make that team more dangerous.
Uh, he's making like 7.5 million a year or something like that. Uh, they're not going to get much for him, I don't think. They're going to have to talk to the doctors. But the situation there appears to be that St. Louis didn't think he needed to take as long as he did for his shoulder. And I
Yeah,
don't even think they thought he needed the second surgery. So
right.
he calls it a lack of trust. But um, I don't know what I mean, after saying that, can you even really play if they can't find a spot for him? Like you're really putting yourself out there. Like
Yeah, yeah, he really
can
is.
you even really play on the team after all?
Tarasenko for Eichel.
Tarasenko for Eichel.
I'm kidding,
Do you
but that
think
would be
Buffalo is
hilarious.
asking? I don't know what Buffalo is asking for Eichel. Um,
Probably a lot.
if well, it all depends on, like I said, doctor to doctor. There's going to be doctors involved talking about whether
Yeah,
that his
yeah.
doctors say that if he has that surgery, he's going to be 100%. So another team's doctors have to go talk to those doctors, and they look at it and go, "We agree." And if he's going to be 100% for sure, and they believe he's going to be 100%, they're going to get a nice package back for him. I
Yeah.
heard that, and I like the trade for Anaheim. Uh, the first round draft pick this year and Zegras.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Zegers is
like
supposed to
that
be
trade
really
because of
big. Yep.
Zegras' attitude. Zegras has got a killer, confident, super positive attitude, and man, could they ever use that in Buffalo?
Um, I see. Yeah, Vegas and Minnesota was a pretty good series too. I think my pick for most entertaining is still Hurricanes Predators.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that was wow. That did go to six. Did it go to six?
Six.
Six.
But every game, or just about every game, was overtime. It was just pure chaos. I think all the games were pretty close too. Colorado and Vegas was good too. That didn't disappoint. I had a good time watching that too. Um, I like the Islanders Tampa series minus that 8-0 game. I mean, there was definitely some good ones. I mean, you're still going to get some good series of playoff hockey. Um, and also too, I was on that off the wall, or not like on it, but I was watching the off the wall show for a brief moment last night during one of the intermissions. That guy gets mad people on there. There was like 150 people watching that.
Oh yeah, he was getting mad at when he gets tired, he gets a bit cranky.
No. I mean, he had not him getting mad. I mean, like he has mad people on
Oh,
there. Like he has a lot of people.
he has a mad amount of people. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of people. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
freaking awesome play-by-play guy. John, man, John's fantastic off the wall. I watch
I
before I
didn't
ever
watch his
did
play
all
by
this. I
play.
watched him all the time.
Yeah,
I reached
I
out to him
watched
and I was
like
really surprised he started the he came on with the Steel Flyers all Sports Network, but I was happy
yeah,
for him.
that's pretty cool. I watched him and it was like another guy on there with him, like sitting next to him physically. I watched for like a few minutes during intermission. And I was just popping in, like, oh hey, like, how's it going, blah blah. But yeah, 150 people. I was like, wow.
Mercer said he liked the Toronto Montreal series. It kind of after yeah, it would have been
Oh yeah, that was good
well.
too.
There's just a whole lot of crazy things that happen, right? And then of course the
Yeah, that
Winnipeg
was good.
series with what happened with Scheifele. There was a lot of drama in these playoffs for sure, no doubt about
Yeah, there
that.
was. Leafs are still chokers.
Why Bill T. Gary Bettman is a complete joke. I don't. Why would you? Why do you say that? I don't agree.
Hey, he's not as bad as Roger
I don't
Goodell.
think he's bad at all. I think he did very well under the circumstances. If you look at the whole situation, I can't speak of baseball or anything. I can't, but I think he's done very.
I was talking about Roger Goodell for NFL. He's horrible.
But there may be one specific reason why Bill thinks that. I don't know. But
And Dana White for UFC's garbage too.
oh, really?
Yeah, Dana White's trash. He's a piece of garbage human
Vegas
being.
and versus Minnesota. Yeah, that was a good one. We forget about that one.
Yeah,
That was really good.
yeah. We were just yeah. One of the comments mentioned. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, Minnesota pushed them a little bit. I mean, some people had Minnesota beating Vegas as an upset pick in the bracket thing. You want to hear something crazy, Perlo?
Hmm.
So, obviously, my girlfriend won the pool last night. Congrats to her. She gets the $250 for picking the champs, whatever. In my bracket, where like I had one with like a couple buddies, um, me and my one friend literally tied. We had the same exact score. And then you know how there's like a tiebreaker thing where it's like goals in the cup final? He put five, but I think he meant to put like 5 games or something. I don't know. He's not really a hockey fan. He just did it for poops and giggles. And then so he put five, I put 45. And then the amount of goals was 25. So we were both 20 apart. So I texted him last night. I was like, I'll just Venmo you half. We both kind of won. I'll Venmo you half the winnings. I'm like, how do you tie in a bracket challenge? It's so stupid. Like neither of us had the right cup winner or nobody going there or
Really,
anything.
eh?
Like, because I had Vegas and Carolina in the finals with Carolina winning, and he had Caps and Avs, I think, with the Caps winning. I don't know. But yeah, I think in yours, or no, Steals. Let me look at Steals. I forget who won Steals. I forget who it was. I think I placed like fourth in there.
I didn't even do one.
You didn't do one? I thought you did.
No.
Oh, they're fun. I like them. They're not as fun as a March Madness bracket, but they're still pretty fun.
I'm sure
Uh,
somebody out there predicted Montreal, Tampa Bay. You can almost guarantee
not
that.
not in not in the Steel
No,
Flyers
but I'm
League.
talking about in general.
Oh
Somebody did in
yeah.
general.
So in the Steel Flyers League, Kata Ha. I don't even can't even pronounce that. Kata Hot. I don't know.
Carter
Whatever.
Hot.
That person.
Yeah, that's like a New
Yeah.
York reference to Carter Hart. Carter Hot.
Okay. Yeah. Off the wall finished third. I finished fourth. Yeah. If you go to like the NHL league, yeah, the first place person who won the whole thing, he predicted Montreal and Tampa in the finals.
Wow.
Yeah, he got literally he got almost every series. I don't know how he did it. It's like he like came from the future and like went in here and was like, "Hey, this is what's going to happen." Yeah, he got every single Boston, New York, Vegas, Colorado. Yeah, he got every series right. I don't understand how he did that.
Yeah, just well, I mean, somebody's going to. It's always going to be somebody.
Yeah, March Madness, it's impossible. It's like one in like quintillion or
Probably a
something crazy.
Habs
Like,
fan and just die hard and said, pick Tampa or something like that. But Bettman in the '90s is I don't like because of the strike. I mean, if what you don't blame Bettman, blame the owners. The owners were freaking idiots. That strike never should have happened. Never. The owners were absolutely
yeah, the
crazy.
editors in hockey seem like they suck.
The,
Speaking of hockey, hockey guys on a roll making videos. He already made his countdown. He said, hold on, I forget the exact number. I texted to my girlfriend, a troller. He said 97 days till the season. I was like, how do you know that already? I don't think they have a schedule out yet.
oh
Or I
well,
guess he have a target
they have
date.
an idea, a target date, yeah. So yeah, only
Yeah.
3 months to the season. Sweet. Uh, he loves non-traditional teams. Um, I I suppose. I mean, it is good for the league that Tampa Bay's and all of that win cups for sure, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
just to expand
But
that
I don't think
market.
anybody's like doing things on purpose to make sure that somebody wins it or something like that. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
But
I guess we could call it the Gary Bettman curse too, because only one Canadian team under his reign has won the cup, and that was his first year.
well, I mean, you got to think it was for a long time it was pretty difficult because like especially when Detroit was winning them all because there was no
Yeah.
cap and Canadian teams are pretty much small market. Except for Montreal and Toronto. And Toronto at the time couldn't do nothing. Like their management was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Bettman's just part of the deep state that wants only U.S. teams to
to tell you
win.
the honest truth, I right now, like if I'm looking at it from a logical perspective, I couldn't care less if Canada won. I do want markets like Carolina, Tampa Bay, Florida to win. I want it to win.
And it's good for the league because it generates more fans. Because let's be honest, like most fans are like kind of bandwagonish about their team. Like I remember like when the Ravens won the Super Bowl and like when the Caps won the Cup, all of a sudden everybody was a fan of like those teams. I'm like, where were you all at for before that, you know? And then after that, it's like, oh, now they're back in hiding. Like here we go.
Yeah,
So it's very
we're
interesting.
slowly
It's
creeping up. We just signed a huge deal with the big U.S. ESPN, and it's the
yep.
hockey has come a long, long way.
Yeah, I'm hoping ESPN helps that game grow. That would be amazing if they did that.
I'm sure it will. I mean, yeah, I'm not.
They have to. They have no choice but to talk about it now. They can't avoid it.
Yep, and it's just getting more and more popular. Hockey's getting more and more popular everywhere. So I like it. Yeah, I do I like Vegas as a team, and I like the place and all that stuff like that. And I want teams like that. I want Arizona to make it. I want the Panthers to make it because without those markets, we're not going to compete. We got to have those markets.
Baltimore becoming an NHL location. I don't think that would ever
You
happen.
don't think so?
No. I don't think hockey would ever go to Baltimore. I don't see that being no. Baltimore. I mean, I live 20 minutes away from it. Baltimore is more of like a football town, and it's football than baseball because the Orioles have been there forever. They've sucked for a while. I think they're more football than everything because of how popular the Ravens have become, and like
I think
those are always going to be the top two in Baltimore.
hockey will have to get pretty big because I think isn't it? It's really close to it would have to fight for Washington market and like you.
Hockey will never be in Baltimore. I can promise you that that'll never happen. Um, what was I gonna say? Hockey in Kansas City, maybe. Hockey in Houston, I don't
Oh, for
know.
sure,
And
Houston will.
just to throw it out here right now, like if hockey were to come to Baltimore, I would still be a Caps fan. I'm not going to switch teams. Like I already picked them as my team. They're going to be my team until I'm 6 feet under the ground. Hockey in Kansas City, I can see that because I think there's a minor league team. I
They
don't
already
know if
had
there's a
it. They
minor
already
league.
had a team once. The
Did they?
the thing they would be fighting with St. Louis, right? St. Louis and Kansas City. They would be fighting. So the St. Louis Blues owner wouldn't like that too much, but I think we had it figured out.
There's an Oilers affiliate in Wichita, which is so random. It's like,
Yeah. Oh, that's ECHL. Yeah, ECHL.
yeah.
But
So,
I think Houston will be there. I think Dallas has enough of a fan base there now that they can support two teams. That would be killer.
expansion's going to 40. That's too many teams. I would leave it alone after Seattle.
Well, I wouldn't leave it alone forever, but maybe for now, we got to get make sure that everybody is able to support with the
Yeah,
talent.
40. That's
The,
too
the
much.
I'm looking down the. You look at the now that after Seattle's going to get, it's getting a little thin for talent in the league right now. I think we need to build up our overall talent before we start going. Otherwise, the teams are just not going to be able to compete.
Yeah, that expansion to 40 is stupid. I think Bettman's on crack at that point. To me, you just cut it after Seattle. Vegas just came in. Seattle's about to come in. 32 is a good number. Just leave it alone after that. NFL's had 32 for a while. NBA, I think NBA is 30. I think baseball is 30. Or they're around the same ballpark, 30, 32. I would just
Yeah,
leave it alone.
whatever. If they do
That's just
decide to
funny.
expand, it's not going to be for a long time now. I don't think. I think
Yeah, yeah. And
If
also,
Arizona doesn't make it, then there'll be cities like Houston there to take it over. I hope they don't go to Quebec. Sorry to tell you. The Quebec market is like an owner would not be happy. That's the reason why they went to Colorado. Quebec went to Colorado because you can't expand that market any further than it is. You got what you got, and that's it. And honestly, why we don't need to sell it in Canada anymore? Like there's
I have a question, Perlo. How come it didn't sell in the Quebec market too
It
well?
did. They filled the building, but you weren't going to be able to get any bigger arena. There's Quebec isn't going to expand. Like, you know what I mean? It's Quebec is Quebec. It's had the same population for years. It's not going to get any bigger. It just is. There's no more expansion there. Where Dallas and they had a much larger pool of people to draw from, and it was never going to get any bigger than that. And also, it's just not helping. It's not helping hockey grow the game by having a team in Quebec and in Montreal. It doesn't make sense.
And my other question is, and then I'll make a statement after that too. My other question is, what is a Nordique?
Uh, it's like kind of like an Eskimo, I would say. It's like the old way of people at the time, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
okay.
Yeah,
That's
like
that's what I was wondering.
Nord
Was like,
would be like Viking.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Okay.
sort.
I was wondering, and then also, oh
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
Also too, it's pretty crazy how once they moved to Colorado, they won a cup the first year they were in there. That
Yeah, well, they had built a
that's got
pretty
to be a
strong
slap in the
team there.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess did all the Nordiques fans convert to Avalanche fans, or did they just pick another team?
Uh, what's that? Oh, did in Quebec they just probably cheered for Montreal.
Because I didn't know how that worked. That's a very good question. I'll have to ask on a large Facebook group. I wonder how that like worked. Because I mean, Colorado is real far away from there. Like if my Capitals relocated, like I guess I would go with them. I like if they went to like I don't know. I guess I would go along with them. And also, too, another crazy stat because there was definitely talks about Tampa sweeping. Still to this day, there hasn't been a sweep since the 1998 Detroit Red Wings when they swept my Capitals and they swept the Flyers the year before. But those Detroit teams were just utterly
Yeah.
filthy. I mean, Iserman, Lindstrom, Brendan Shanahan, Kozlov was good, Fedorov was good. Nicholas Lindstrom was good.
So,
Larry Murphy,
oh yeah,
Larionov, Darren McCarty.
it
Like,
was
like
crazy.
That's just ridiculously
They were
stacked.
the reason why they had to bring a
Osgood,
cap in because you just other teams just couldn't compete.
Osgood too at goal. I mean, those teams were good, and then they had Vladimir Konstantinov the year before, and then they had that tragic accident. So there's a really good. I don't know if I mentioned on the show before, but there's a really good Red Wings documentary on YouTube. I think it's called like the Joe or something like that because they played in the Joe Louis Arena for a long time. It's like an hour and
Yeah.
a half long. It has like a real cool like detailed history of the Red Wings, and like it just shows like the glory days and like where they struggled for a little bit before. Because there was, if I recall correctly, there was that period between when Gordie Howe played and Yzerman played. They didn't do anything for a little while there. So it was a really cool documentary to watch. It was very interesting to see and just had a good story and everything. I'll have to throw it on the group too. I need to throw the Rangers one in there too that I talked about too. I like watching stuff like that. And also too, there's a really good really, really, really good video on YouTube that's about 15 to 20 minutes long. The YouTube page is called, I think, Secret Base, and it gave a detail of the Red Wings and Avalanche rivalry in the late 90s, where basically they beat the tar of each other and they took turns winning the cup, too. That was sweet. That was awesome. There was that one game where there was like a whole brawl going in. That was awesome. I wish I watched hockey back then. That's an awesome rivalry. We need
Oh yeah.
rivalries like that in today's game.
Oh, back in those days, man, it was amazing. Like Colorado, Detroit was insane. In the '80s, they were called the Dead Things. The Wings were really bad in the '80s. Exact
They're bad
opposite.
now.
They were horrible. Uh, I just
Yeah,
messaged you.
I knew Caps aren't going under Lordank, and I was just making a statement. They're not good. They're staying put. They're not going anywhere. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here. Old Red Wings, Detroit. Yeah, Detroit, a bunch of iconic players.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Shaky,
When
oh
they were
my gosh.
bad, back in the day, um, yeah, it was sort of a rebuild, I guess you'd say. It was like kind of the first, like back then they didn't really rebuild, but they were sort of like the first ones to do it, to take the high draft picks and build their team, which is where they got all their players that they got, and they were able to pay them. And then they brought free agents in. But a lot of that team was built through them in Detroit. Like, Detroit, this was Scotty Bowman's genius at the time. Like, people didn't do it that way. You drafted and you hoped you added to your team, but most people built their team through trades and free agency and stuff like that. And then the Detroit Red Wings came in and they drafted Sergei Fedorov and they drafted Datsuk and they drafted Stevie Y and Darren McCarty and all of these guys were their own draft picks that they just were able to pay for, where other
Yeah,
teams weren't. It had got to the point where other teams weren't able to pay that kind of money. Especially since they were setting the market for all the players and the Rangers too. Now the Rangers at the time they didn't draft; they grabbed free agents like crazy, and they won a cup like that too.
yeah, they
But
grabbed a bunch of ex-Oilers players.
yeah, yeah,
It explained in that documentary too, the '94 Rangers. I need to post these two on your page and tell people to watch it because it's. I'm not a fan of either team, obviously. My cap stuff's right there. But yeah, I like stuff like that. It's interesting. Pearlo dance.
yeah.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, they're the Dead Wings now. Ask Evan what he thinks Pearlo. Wait, what do I think about what? Well, yeah, Red Wings suck right now.
He
Maybe
was
they'll be good in
asking
a
what
few
I
years.
think about Tampa Bay and how they circumvented the cap. We already talked about that.
Oh, I mean, it was just a loophole they took advantage of. It won't happen again. Mark my words right now. On this day, it will never happen again. Tampa's not
No,
going to three-peat. Tampa has contracts to work out, and I put that too. So their key unrestricted free agents are Dennis Savard. Right now, he's making 4.25 million a year. They're not going to keep him. Coleman's making 1.8. He's going to get overpaid somewhere. He's going to go somewhere and get at least three. I can tell you that right now. And then Goodrow is making $925,000. He'll get a little overpaid somewhere too, make like 2 mil somewhere. They're not going to keep any of those three. And then they probably have other deals to restructure. And then Seattle plucks a player from them. Yeah, good
well,
luck three-peating
they're
Tampa. That's
gonna
not going to happen.
Seattle. They're gonna have to give up some picks or something to get rid of whatever they want to get rid of to Seattle. Seattle's not just gonna take a player unless you give them like a super good player. They're not gonna just pluck a player without getting
Well,
something good.
yeah, I mean, like they'll have to leave players unprotected though.
Yeah, but Seattle will take one that doesn't cost much. They've got
Yeah,
so many
but
that are gonna give.
they'll still take a good player.
Yeah, they're not going to take Johnson or anything. What's Tampa Bay is going to probably throw them some more, another player and a pick and possibly a prospect to get rid of Johnson, and then trade off Killorn or something like that, and then they'll be cap compliant, and then try to figure out what they're going to do after that. But yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I think like Seattle's going to have a crap load of picks next year. They're going to
Yeah,
use
yeah,
that to get as many picks as possible. What does CL say?
yeah,
Get Savard to Philly? Ah, I'm not. That's not really the kind of. I don't mind it, but I mean, he only played 10 or like, he only played like what 11 minutes a night in Tampa Bay. Now they're stacked,
yeah.
but
They don't really need him. Well, I mean, obviously, so like who Tampa's going to protect, we all know it's going to be Stamkos, and also Stamkos did not get injured this playoffs.
yeah,
Did not get injured.
we didn't
That
talk.
might be one of the most shocking things of this playoffs.
Well, he might have been injured, but he didn't like wasn't injured so bad that he couldn't play.
Yeah, it
Like
wasn't like last year.
Toffoli and Gallagher were injured all the heck, playing injured all the heck.
Yeah,
Gallagher had a torn uh, growing muscle or something like that, and he kept on playing. And
yeah,
Toffoli was, I don't know what his injury was, but apparently it was really bad, and they kept on going. Killorn
yeah.
to the Habs, possibly if they once they lose Tatar.
So this is Stamkos' first legit cup because I don't count him as a cup winner last year because he only played for like 3 minutes.
Uh, I guess, yeah.
I mean, he's a good player. Again, I don't hate the guy. I'm just saying that he's always injured. So that's why I was saying it was such a surprise.
I
So yeah, they're
wouldn't.
going to protect him.
He didn't have a great playoffs. I wouldn't doubt if he's not far from retirement. Whatever this injury is definitely keeps on being a
He had 8
problem.
goals. He had a pretty respectable playoffs. It wasn't anything like breathtaking.
Yeah,
I mean, there's better players on the team than him, but they're going to protect him. He's the captain. They're going to
I think
protect
he's got an
him.
NMC anyways. They have to protect him.
Yeah, yeah. They're going to protect him. Kucherov point. They're not going anywhere. Hedman's not going anywhere.
Hmm.
Um, McDonough, I would imagine they would keep. That's 5 right there.
Well,
I would.
it's three defensemen and seven forwards.
I thought it could also be 8 total skaters
Yeah, they
too.
can, but they're not going to do that. They'll lose way too many players if they do
Yeah,
that.
most people are going to do the first option. So I need to look at their roster real quick.
Ben Bishop
Lightning.
not there. That's why Stamkos isn't getting hurt so much. How
Oh
does?
gosh, Bishop's another one that's always hurt. Always hurt.
Yeah,
So yeah, the Lightning are going to protect Palat, Point, Kucherov, Stamkos, Sorelli. What was it? 7 forwards.
three
Um,
defensemen. They're not going to protect Johnson.
yeah, because he costs too much, right?
Yeah, but they're not. But neither is Seattle going to
One,
pick him
two,
either.
three, four, 5. I could. Isn't Ross Colton a rookie?
Yeah, they don't have to
I
protect
think he's.
Colton.
Yeah, he's automatically exempt. So that doesn't
It's
count.
pretty
I,
much
I,
going to be a moot point. Besides Chernak, Chernak is the tough one.
I guess they protect Pat Maroon.
Yeah, Chernak is going to be the tough one.
Because their whole third line is going to go somewhere. Oh, wait, Yanni Gord's there. Oh, I forgot. They'll probably protect Yanni then.
Either that, or they could go Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, Chernak, and then do only four skaters, which would be Kucherov, Stamkos, Point, and Palat, and then they can pick Yanni Gord, Sorelli, whatever. But what they'll do, I still say they're going to work out a deal for Seattle to take Tyler Johnson. They're going to give up their first next year, probably like Matthew Joseph and something, so they take him. That's what I think is going to happen, no matter what it looks like here. Somebody just asked me a question. Oh, Kucherov.
Oh, I forgot about Alex
When's
Killorn.
Kucherov's
Yeah.
contract up? It's up like in eternity. It's like,
So wait, Palat, Point, Kucherov, Sorelli, Stamkos, Gord, and then there's 7 right there. I came up with it. This is all right. So Tampa's going to keep Palat, Point, Cooch, Sorelli, Stamkos, Gord, and Killorn. There's their 7 forwards are keeping.
Yeah, that would mean that Chernak's going to be exposed.
Yep, too bad.
Oh no, they
And,
won't. They won't do that. They'll trade him.
and then
They'll trade him before that. There's no way they're going to give him up for nothing. No way. 24-year-old defenseman like him, no. So
I mean, but then for their defensemen, obviously Hedman's protected, and then McDonough, I would think they would have to
and
keep, and
Sergachev
then I mean, would they? Huh?
and Sergachev.
Yeah, those are the three that they gotta. Yeah, I
There's
mean,
no
well,
way they're going to
Chernak. I
let
mean,
Chernak go for nothing. They have to trade him before the draft. Somebody will take him before the draft.
the realization that Tampa was asked about next year and how lots of they're gonna a lot of teams. I mean, they'll still be good next year, but like I've been saying, they're three-peating. It hasn't happened since like the Oilers back in the Gretzky days.
Yeah,
It's just hard for that to happen, and there's a lot of good teams. I mean, it's at some point the Avalanche have to break through because for a while it took Tampa to break through. They made the Cup in 2015, and then it seemed like I hate spam calls. Okay, sorry about that. So Tampa made the finals in 2015, and then Blackhawks beat them. I think they missed the playoffs the next year or whatever. And then it seemed like for a while they were making the Eastern Conference Finals every single year, and they just kept losing. My Capitals beating them one of those years, and then everybody knows about the 65 win year where they got swept by Columbus in the first round. So Tampa took a while to break through because they had the squad to do it. They had some awesome players, but then it just took a while, and then they finally did. And I'm wondering if Colorado is going to be that next team to finally take it to another notch. Because if you look at that Colorado team on paper, they are a cup contender. No questions asked at all about that. A lot of good young players, a lot of cap room. Um, would McCarr be exempt? Or maybe not because he just completed his second year.
yeah. It depends on how many games he played. I think he played enough that they have to protect him. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Somebody
they'll keep
brought up a
him.
good idea. I think it's a good idea, and I know people are going to think otherwise because he played so well in the playoffs. But if they got to trade two players, like you said, somebody said trade McDonough. I think that's actually not a bad idea. You're probably going to get the best package out of McDonough, and he's 32 years old, so he's probably going to be on a decline after this. He's also got a killer contract at 6.75. You could probably get a really good package of players that could help you now and are a lot younger. I actually don't mind that and keep Chernak. I actually kind of like that. That's a pretty good idea. But he does have a no trade clause. How many play? Is it a full no trade clause though? If it is, then maybe you can't do it. If it's a full no trade, uh, modified no trade clause begins. It begins in 2000. Oh no, it's a full no trade. He's got a full no trade, so that could be tough. But good idea though. Thinking outside of the box there. Uh, Kucherov is forever, eternity. Stamkos is 3 more years.
Yeah.
That's a tough contract for them right now too, because depending on how he is after this. But like you said, he's injured all the time, and they're paying him 8.5 million. So that's what they'll do, though. Like Stamkos, probably for the rest of his career, if he stays in Tampa, they'll just have they'll circumvent the cap again, and he'll just go on IR
God.
for like 20 days.
They're gonna stab him or something. All right.
No, they just have their doctor say, yeah, he could use, yeah, he's injured again, so take 20 days off, come back. 20 games off, come back. So that cuts off like 2.5 million off the salary cap and stuff like that. That's what they'll probably do because he can. I don't know. He may have to do that. That injury, I think it's a core problem, core muscle injury or something like that.
Yeah. Next year, Lord Dankin says next year's top picks for winning the
It's hard to
cup.
say yet, but
Oh
it,
gosh. That's so
Well, I
early.
wouldn't say it's. I mean, if I can do it, Colorado probably is going to add a crap load. They've got cap space, and that team is pretty solid. You gotta. They also had what they
So
had 2 years now together to get it to start understanding what it means to win a cup. So um,
yeah, I'm gonna make pretend there's a gun held in my head that someone broke into my apartment and said, "Hey, 5 teams that can win the cup next year go." Um, in no order at all. I mean, Avalanche could, even though they can't make it past the second round right
you know,
now.
Philly.
Not Philly. Vegas could, especially when they get a center, because Chandler Stevenson is not a top 6 center. Um, I think Boston is starting to get their window a little bit closed, getting a little bit old. Unfortunately, not my Caps. I got to be realistic about that. Not the Penguins. Islanders could, especially if they get that winger that they need and a offensive defenseman. Um,
That's going to be tough.
Tampa's possible, but like it's hard to imagine a three-peat and then them losing players too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say Tampa. I'm gonna. All right. So Vegas, Colorado, Islanders. You know, a team that could actually surprise people next year, Rangers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the reason why I say that is because they have a bunch of good young talent. They have good goalies. Their defensemen are getting better, and now they have an actual NHL coach. So I'm going to say the Rangers. I'm going to throw it out there. That's a little bit of a dark horse, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Oh, Hurricanes! I can't forget about the
Yeah, and the
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes got to. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could do it next year, depending on.
Those would be my top five
I
in no
I
order.
would say the New York Rangers are like they could break out at any time. Lafreniere,
Yep.
Kako, Heidel, Panarin. I mean, they're stacked up front. Of course, they got the Norris Trophy winner in Fox and T.J. Miller, or not T.J. Miller,
Um.
Keandre Miller,
Yeah.
who also got the second team rookie All Star. He looked fantastic.
Yeah. He's fast
Lindgren is
too.
like looking like he's could be up there with like Pellick as one of the better defensive defensemen in the league. And of course, Shesterkin.
Goaltending.
They're getting closer and closer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
wouldn't pick them because they're a little too green yet. It's sort of like what
Yeah.
Colorado is. They're probably going to take
Yeah.
a year or two to figure out what it means to win a cup, but they're right on the precipice for sure.
Yeah.
Is a team that was I think Ottawa could make the playoffs next year if everything goes all
They would be like a
if
wild
their
card
goaltending
team
holds
if
up.
they did. If they do make the playoffs, they would be like a wild card team and then get dusted in round one.
Uh, it all depends on their goaltending with them. I mean, look, Stutzla, one more year, Stutzla, he looks like he's gonna be fantastic. Brady Tkachuk could just beast out like crazy next year.
Yep.
Uh, they've um, they've got a lot Norris. They've got a lot of guys that are just getting better and better and better. It's sort of like the Rangers, but they it's a tough division for them to do it in though.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're in the Atlantic. Yeah, that's not going to look too good for them. But yeah, the teams I named, those would be my five again in
Minnesota,
no
if
order
they
whatsoever.
Minnesota, I mean, if they
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about Minnesota.
can, I think Minnesota, like they're just aging a little too much. Like Suter's not getting any younger. I don't know. I think they're a work in progress yet. I don't think they're quite ready yet. But man, they took Vegas to seven.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they surprised this year, so I don't know. It's hard to say. Also, too, another thing that's interesting that I just noticed: all the teams that made the playoffs this year, none of them were the 7 that missed the playoffs last year, like didn't play in the play-in or anything.
What's that? All the oh okay yeah yeah
The 7 teams that missed it last
yeah
year,
yeah.
yep, none of them made it this
Watch
year.
out for LA because
Yeah.
watch
Oh, they just got
they
Arvidsson.
got Arvidsson and that's not they're not done. I hear they're pretty heavy. They're
Yeah.
pretty heavy on Eichel. Uh, but it's gonna like if they don't get Eichel, it's they're probably a little bit away. But I hear they plan on adding more, and they've got Byfield and Turcotte, depending on how they progress. Um, and they could get, I heard they were in on Dougie Hamilton on
I
defense.
forgot about Florida.
Florida, yeah.
Oh, Lord Dankin makes a good point. He said Carolina Islanders, Vegas. You know what? I'm gonna remove the Rangers because, like you said, Perla, they're a little bit too green. They're getting closer. Florida. Yeah, Florida realistically could do it next year too because Florida's got some good offensive guys. They got good defensive guys too. Because let's not forget they lost their number one defenseman before the
Yeah,
playoffs too.
yeah.
And if Bobrovsky can like go back to his Columbus form, that's gonna be a very hard team to beat.
I think that has, I think that is mostly,
And Coach
I
Q.
think that mostly is dependent on how Spencer Knight does. And I have a feeling he's going to rock it. I think Bob Roski's going to look like like just a, it's going to be very awkward for Bobrovsky next year. That Spencer Knight kid looks absolutely absurd as a goaltender. He is unbelievable. Sort of like Swayman in Boston, but they are just kids, so it's hard to say yet. But man, he looks good. He looks so in control and ready. But look, we said the same thing about Carter Hart, and then he dropped off like that
Well,
last year.
Knight's only played like what 8 NHL games or something like that. He hasn't played too many.
Yeah, I've watched him a lot though, like in World
Well, like
Juniors
growing,
and
like
stuff like
him
that.
coming up.
And the way he handled the playoffs, just throwing him in there like that, like he looked really good. But you're right, he is young and is a goaltender. Goaltenders are voodoo. But
Yeah, goaltenders are very
if
fickle. It's
Spencer
weird.
Knight doesn't bust out or Bobrovsky get anywhere near where he was before, I can't see Florida winning the cup. I could see them missing the playoffs. But uh,
I
I
I think yeah. I mean,
that would
I think they'll be pretty good next year.
that'll be it'll all be up to that. You got to remember that Drieger is the reason why they made the playoffs, pretty
Yeah.
much, and
Well,
not the
well,
reason. I mean, they have a stack.
well,
They did some really good things and stacked their team and play
yeah. I
hard
mean,
and play tough.
Yandel,
Play tough. Oh,
Huberdeau.
Yandel, they don't even want. Yandel, they were trying to trade and he refused. They're trying to get rid of him. Q doesn't like him defensively at all.
Well, the thing too is they apparently now they're getting offers about Drager. And then to respond to Bill, Duncan Keefe to the Oilers room. I mean, Duncan Keefe sucks now. He's like 1,000 years old. That's not really going to help the Oilers out too
He's a
much.
five. He's
Yeah,
a good 5'6" and can play in your top four still. He actually does very well for his age, but depending on what they're asking and if they're not retaining money, then no.
yeah, Oilers do need to make progress. It's pretty criminal that they're wasting McDavid and Draisaitl right now. I mean, those are like two god tier forwards.
Yeah, he's got cap space now. We'll see what Holland does with it. I have a feeling you're going to
No.
see a big winger coming to Edmonton. Who I'm not sure, but he played 23 minutes a game last year for Chicago. Chicago almost made the playoffs. He's not
Yeah,
bad. He's still not bad for his age.
Chicago could maybe. I mean, they wouldn't be like a cup pick or anything, but they could possibly sneak into the wall. I mean, well, this is all next year. Now we're going into like a rabbit hole. Like, all right, like this is what's possibly going on for next year. I mean, we're
Well, you can't
we're
count out Chicago because of the people they have behind them there in Chicago, like
yeah.
Bowman and those guys. Like I didn't see Lankinen coming last year. I was like, what are
Yeah,
they going to do? They have no goaltending. All of a sudden, Lankinen's almost
I
winning.
did call DeBrincat having a rebound year. I did predict that accurately.
Yeah, Tays will be playing now, which
Yeah, he didn't play at all last year
yeah
or this past
he'll
year.
be playing this year. So,
Yeah,
but
overrated.
okay, it's doggy time. We're gonna go to doggies, and we'll be back here in a bit, and we'll just
Bro,
continue. Are
I
you?
forgot to tell you I was probably gonna hop off if that's all right.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, I got some stuff to do. I just want to recap the cop and dive into some of the other stuff a little bit. I just got a lot going on.
Okay. Well, that was E Money. When I come back, I'll be just chatting with you guys, and we'll do
Bro,
pretty much what we're doing right now. All right, buddy. I'll see you.
yeah, sorry
I
about
have
that.
no show tomorrow. By the way,
No,
everybody that's
really?
in there, I'm taking a week. I'm taking a long weekend, going to the mountains.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'll be back on Monday for sure. so you know if you ever want to come on that. And everybody else out there, we're going to go see the doggies right now. We'll be right back.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Hello, everybody. You got me now? I'm back. Can you hear me all right? That all switched all right? We back. We are back. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for sticking around. Can you hear me okay? Everything's going well? Okay. So what do we got? I want to see Owen Powers in Edmonton, but Buffalo has a top overall pick. Owen Powers is going to be very interesting. He certainly crushed it over at the World Championships, and who was the coach there? I think it was Gallant. He played him like crazy. Started off just as a bit guy, and then came up and the longer the tournament went on, the more they played him. Was it Gallant? No, it wasn't Gallant. Who was it? Who was it that was doing that? I can't remember. Anyways, whoever the coach was there, they played him like crazy. Gallant was the Canadian team. So, yeah, they played him like crazy after a while. So, you got to figure that Buffalo's going for Owen Power. He's huge. He can skate. He reminds me of Peter Angelo quite a bit. If he could be like a Peter Angelo, that'd be all right. There's talk of things like Pronger and stuff like that. But, I mean, Pronger put up a lot better numbers than he did in his junior year. I don't think he's going to be quite Pronger level. You never know, though. You don't want to count these guys out. He could be absolutely insane. Who else did they say? Duncan Keith is decent for depth. I think he can play in a 5'6". I really do. I thought he didn't do bad in Chicago at all. It's just I don't want to be paying him $5 million a year. And especially when you know that he's like they have no leverage. So watch out for that Eklund kid, man, out of Sweden. He has been an absolute revelation this year too. I don't think he's going to beat out Power, but he might beat out Beniers. No, he can't come back to the Habs. I don't think he wants to go back to the Habs after what happened with the Habs. But, man, Victor Mete's got to be kind of kicking himself now because he was mad that they weren't playing him. And then all of a sudden, then they win the Cup. Ouch. But the good news is he is going to play in Ottawa a lot more. So I don't think he totally regrets his decision, but I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Jake Gardiner. Absolutely. We should play that. I would rather have Duncan Keith than. I would rather have Duncan Keith than. It's a good question. That's a nice game. I would rather have Duncan Keith than. I should change my title to that. Nah, forget it. I like this. Let silly season begin. Ryan Murphy? Really? Rather have Duncan Keith than Ryan Murphy. I never really watched Ryan Murphy all that much, so I can't really say. One of the few players that is pretty vanilla. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Sami Niku. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Justin Braun. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Mark Pysyk. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than... Can we say Subban? He's not that bad, I guess. That's a really interesting question. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Smith from New York Rangers. I'd rather have Duncan Keith than... I know this might surprise people, but I'd rather have Duncan Keith than Dermott. And they just paid $1.5 million for Dermott. Shane Gostisbehere at the end of last year, no. But before that, yeah. He actually played not too bad at the end of last year. Nick Leddy? Yeah, Leddy's pretty bad defensively at $5 million. And New York Islanders fan have this dream that Seattle's just going to pluck, they're going to expose Nick Leddy and Seattle is going to pluck him off the roster. Just going to take him. Yeah, that's not going to happen. No way. $5 million guy who can't play, who doesn't play defense? No. So Montreal, I guess since we'll just continue looking at Montreal. What the heck is Montreal going to do next year for an encore? How is Montreal going to add or not add to that roster for next year? What do they need to add? I think they'll probably surprise the crap out of us again. If they lose Edmondson, I don't know. Like it's an interesting roster. I still think they need a shooter on that team. Now, they may just say, you know what, Gallagher was hurt, Toffoli was hurt. If they weren't hurt, Toffoli is a shooter. Toffoli was hurt. They may just kind of try to roll with what they got. They've got, what's their cap space? $14 million in cap space. I wonder if they'll probably get, like Perry played with for the minimum. They'll probably do it again. Are they going to bring Philip Dano back for $5 million a year? That's about what he's going to get paid, somewhere around there. Yeah, Arturi Lehkonen, he has arbitration, but I don't think he's going to get huge. And then they got Kokaniemi too. So that's going to eat up a lot of cap space, I would say. And then, of course, after that, they've got Suzuki next year. They need to replace Tristan Jarry. I think the answer is Fleury. I think the answer is Fleury there. Yeah, that's the big question. He hasn't shown he can be healthy at all in his career. Right? I think it's got to be. I think I think Fleury is the answer. Grubauer, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's going to be expensive, isn't he? And that depends on whether Colorado is going to take him back, which I believe with Colorado is going to depend on how much he gets on the open market. They could try Allmark in Buffalo. Shouldn't cost them too much. But, I mean, their window is so closed. I think Cole Perfetti comes really close to making it, if not making it next year. He put up good numbers in the AHL, Phil. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Right on, buddy. I think Cole Perfetti can make it next year. I don't know if he'll be a full-timer or not, but he put really good numbers up in the AHL. Again, it's all the defense with Perfetti. It depends on if his two-way game is up to snuff. The first thing they want to do is re-sign Perry. Yeah, that would be a good idea. No, Hutton's not a back. No way. Bernier, I guess Stevie Yzerman is all over re-signing Bernier. It sounds like they actually have a contract for him, but they're not going to give him the contract till after Seattle, the expansion draft. Allmark, is he ideal? I'm not sure. I mean, I would rather have a cup winner already and a Vezina guy because Pittsburgh doesn't need to. I mean, they don't need to build for later. However, with Hextall there, he might like Allmark for the fact that he can play now, and he'll be there for later as well. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people in on Allmark though. He might get paid. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Halak, nah. No, not Lundqvist. Halak, no. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think he's going to help out Jari too much there. Drigger, do you want him to play? He didn't do well in the playoffs. He has no playoff experience. Like if I'm Pittsburgh, I mean your window's closing. If you're going to go now, go now. See if you can get what other team out there is going to give Fleury $7 million to be their number one goaltender? Like he's making $7 million next year. Is there a team that's going to pay him for 1 year $7 million? I doubt Carolina will do that. They got Nedeljkovic. Any team that's a contender, they'd be willing to do that, that's a goaltender away? I don't see it. Toronto. But they don't have the cap space. I think if they want to get rid of, if Vegas wants to get rid of Fleury, wants to move Fleury, they're going to have to retain. So I would say I still say their last hurrah, Fleury's last hurrah back in Pittsburgh again. It would change. It would bring a great energy. The window's shutting. He could even sign for another year at a lesser contract. That would be, I don't know if he'd want to go back there, but I think he would. I think he'd be happy going back to Pittsburgh again. That would be if Vegas retains half the salary for next year, that's what I would do if I were them. Perry, I don't know. Is Perry going to want more money after the year he had, though? He doesn't seem to care about money. So if he takes the league minimum, it's a no-brainer. You got to sign him back up again, right? Yeah, like I said, I don't think Trigger is ideal because I don't think he has enough playoff experience. They got to win. Their window is like this year, maybe next year, and it's over. Let's face it, it's over in Pittsburgh after that. So go for it now. Get the best. Get a Vezina level goaltender and hope for the best. Sorokin, yeah, he won't get much. Sorokin. Nedeljkovic, it would be smart for Carolina to sign him up long term right now if they could. That would be a smart move. They could get him cheap right now. $5 million for 7 years or something like that if you're really sold on him for sure. Shesterkin, same thing. The Rangers would be smart to sign him long term right now. The thing is, I don't think Shesterkin's going to sign anything long term. He hasn't been able to put up a resume yet, and if he decides to gamble on himself, he'll take a 2-year, $4 million deal or $3.5 million deal, and then they'll probably end up having to pay him big. Samsonov, I'm not really a fan of Samsonov. Hill will get like backup money, and then Carter Hart might actually work out for Philadelphia as long as he bounces back. He's not going to get that much now. It's going to be another bridge deal because he had such a poor season last season. Yeah, offer shooting goaltenders. I mean, the Rangers will match pretty much anything you do for Shesterkin. Saros, definitely Nashville, unless you go like really stupid, like $10 million a year or something like that. They'll probably match. You might be able to give like Nedeljkovic $8 million a year or something like that, which is kind of a gamble since he's only had one really good year. And Carolina would probably buckle and let him go. Maybe that one. But Pittsburgh isn't going to be able to do that. I don't know who would do that. You could do it to Sorokin too, because the Islanders are pretty up against the cap. I think if you tried to do something with Sorokin, they would try to find a home for Varlamov at $5 million a year and match it and hate you, but still probably do it. Sorokin's just put those sick numbers up in the KHL. And then Carter Hart, I don't think anybody's going to offer sheet Carter Hart with the season he had. I think another thing that Pittsburgh could look at is Darcy Kemper in Arizona. Just whatever prospects they have, they could grab Darcy Kemper. He's going to need a contract next year, but they're only really wanting to win this year, so. Devils have some space, you think? I think as long as he's willing to go there, I have a feeling that the Devils are going to win the Dougie Hamilton sweepstakes. Yeah, I think Darcy Kemper might be a possibility. Is that that's what I was thinking there. I wonder if Arizona is going to sign him up. If I'm Darcy Kemper, why do you want to stay in Arizona? They're talking about trading Larson. They're talking about trading Ekman Larson. You're going to be bad for a long time. He's getting to the point where his window is closing a tad. He's got like 4 years, maybe 5. If I'm Kemper, I'm trying to get to a team right away. If I was Toronto, I would be all over getting Darcy Kemper and worry about your cap room later. They got to get if Anderson isn't going to be ready, or they have any concern at all that Anderson's going to be an injury problem next year, I'd be looking at Darcy Kemper. I don't think they're going to leave Kemper out. I think they're going to, if they do have Kemper, they're going to try to trade him. They're going to protect Hill and leave Kemper out? That's silly. I'm not trading Sorokin if I'm the Islanders. No way. No way. No way. No, there's no way I'm trading Sorokin. That's their goaltender of the future. I mean, there's no way. I mean, you'd have to give me like a stupid package for Sorokin. Personally, myself, Devils take Johnson off of Tampa Bay. Well, I mean, they would only be doing that to grab some draft picks because it would be Johnson plus for basically nobody. And I don't think they need that type of player. They've got a lot of those those smaller, skilled type players as it is. That'll be interesting to see what about Samsonov. That'll be interesting to see what Tampa does with Samsonov. I wonder if they still believe in him or not. I'm not sure. I think they're going to keep on rolling with them because I came up with an idea that they grab Fleury and let what's his name go, Oshie. They were talking about Oshie going and finding a home for Oshie and not getting any cap back. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a team that is iffy to win a cup and your window is closing, go get the best darn goaltender you can get. I mean, why would you do anything else? A goaltender can pretty much win a cup for you. You're not going to win one if you're just an above average team, which is what Washington kind of is, without a lights out goaltender. So. Yeah, what do they have for restricted free agents? Tampa Bay. They don't really have any restricted free agents, though. Cal Foote, Colton Ross. Yeah, they don't have much for restricted free agents. Next year, points will be a restricted. Oh my. Oh my gosh. That's going to be tough for them. So you looked up Ducharme on free agency this season, okay? No, I think they could still sign him. They're going to have, like I said, they'll trade probably Killorn and Johnson to Seattle. And if they do that, they'll be okay. But then next year, Point needs a contract again. And I don't know about that. Like, what's Point going to be getting now? They just did a bridge deal with them. So they are in trouble for a while here now. That's Stamkos' contract. Almost has to happen that Stamkos retires or something like that. You want to try offer sheeting Point next year, maybe, depending on what they do with the rest of their roster this year. But like I said, Johnson to Seattle and give up some picks, I think. But they don't. That's the other thing is Tampa doesn't have all that many picks to give up. They don't have their first this year. I don't even think they have their first next year. Yeah, they do. They have their first next year, but they don't have their second or third. This year, they don't have their first or second. And if they traded their first next year, they wouldn't have a pick to the fourth round. Now, if they trade Killorn, they'll probably get some picks back. And I think you could get picks for Killorn because he's not. He doesn't have a terrible contract. He's got 2 cups. I think he could get more than $8 million, really. Like, okay, if I'm Point's agent, they're saying, okay, we're going to give him $8 million a year for whatever. He's going to say, well, Sebastian Aho got $8 million on a bridge. You know, like he's one of the, what do you put him, top? Could you put him as a top 5 centers in the league? Maybe not quite, but somewhere around there. He could, if he went on the market, he would easily get $10 million a year, I bet. I bet you he would get $10 million a year on the market. I think he's going to get, I think he could get 9. It all depends on him. He's going to let Sherratt go. Wow, okay. I guess that's why he didn't want to trade Mete. Gustafson for sure, Merrill, yeah. Tatar, they didn't even play him in the playoffs. Apparently, I heard he had an injury. I heard he didn't have an injury. Yeah. Well, it won't much matter with Carolina if they have because they have an internal cap. So whatever their internal cap is, but losing Sherratt's going to hurt Montreal. They must have a plan. I mean, is he a free agent this year, Sherratt? He's a free agent next year. Who are they going to keep instead? He's a right defenseman. Oh, so they figure that Romanov will be ready by then, probably. So he'll be 23, and then Sherratt. Oh, sorry, Sherratt's a left defenseman. Yeah, probably Romanov, maybe. And then Ben Sherratt may go get top 4 money somewhere else. That makes sense. Yeah, we would Romanov might. You gotta remember, Romanov's only 21 years old. I mean, he's got a lot of upside yet. So probably that's what'll happen. Romanov should be ready to take a regular role by then. And then, Sherratt will have played enough in Montreal to get a pretty good raise from his 3.5 somewhere else. Unless he wants to stay there as a 5-6 for the same amount of money. Yeah, that's going to be tough, Carolina, to sign all those players. Svechnikov would be great to get signed up long-term right away. But depending on the year he has next year, it's going to be expensive no matter what. Trocheck isn't necessary. I think they could have somebody to replace Trocheck by then. Yeah, it's how much are they able to gain? What does Montreal need? I don't know. I guess they just keep on rolling with the same roster. I mean, Weber's not getting any younger. Neither is Petrie. Romanov can come in. I guess they just keep on rolling with the same roster. I don't know. Like I said, it's not going to be as easy next year on an 82 game schedule for that team to make the playoffs, I would say. And if they don't make the playoffs with this roster, then what? Now you're looking like, when you're going up against who they're going to be going up against next year, are they going to be able to do it? Toffoli's a streaky goaltender historically. He had a really good year this year. Suzuki's going to get better for sure. Losing Tatar doesn't hurt, but you probably want to replace a left winger there. Yeah. They probably would need to get another winger. I don't know who that would be. There's not much out there. Either trade or... Yeah, I love the off season. I'm like, that's the thing. Like, I'm already thinking about the off season while the playoffs are going. I love the trades and talking like this. That's like my favorite part. Remember, everybody that's in here, on Monday I'll be back at this time, but next week, Tuesday and Thursday, I will be in the evening. So it's going to be 5:30 to 7:30 Mountain. So 7:30, 9:30 Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday. 100% dork. And the trap won't work next year. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the 113 is going to be a little more difficult to keep on doing for an 82 game schedule for sure. But what... Maybe if Drouin can come back, that's the other thing. What are they going to do with Drouin? Is he going to come back? Yeah, it's a 2-hour difference where I am. Yeah, for sure. That's the other thing that they got a question mark with Drouin. I imagine they're going to expose Drouin to Seattle. I think they could lose like a guy like Armia or possibly Edmondson. Edmondson probably has value at $3.5 million right now. But I think Duran can muddle things up a little bit. Duran can make it difficult. If he decides to come back and he's not good, that's going to be trouble for Montreal. Now, Montreal has a crap load of picks. So they could go to Seattle and say, here, Duran's going to come back next year. Let's give him a fresh start. We'll toss you a second this year for you to take him, and maybe like Armia or something like that. He would take him if they gave him picks to take him, I think. I think he would take him if they gave him picks. Montreal's got a crap load of picks. Like Montreal, I think they have 3 second round. No, they have, this year they have 1 first, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 3 fourths. So they could give up a second and a fourth for them to take Drouin and maybe, or something like that. Oh, Jake DeBrusk? That's interesting. That's interesting, Jake DeBrusk. I wonder what Buffalo's or what Jake DeBrusk is going to be able to get for a contract. Yeah, you let Tatar go, bring DeBrusk in. He's not really the guy I was thinking about, but he's been pretty inconsistent in Boston. Hey, Hockey News Reports, welcome back. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Yeah, it could work. You wouldn't. I don't think it would cost you too much. I'm really in the dark about what they're going to get for DeBrusque because he just has not played well in Boston. They're selling low here on DeBrusque if they decide to trade him now. But Montreal could take a risk on him. They like their big bodies there. At the very least, he is a big body, but he doesn't take the body enough. That's the other thing that Boston's really not, happy with him there. I don't know. I don't do that trade if I'm Calgary. I'm just not sure about DeBrusque. Yeah, when he does it, when he crashes the net. He could work out different environment. Like I said, I'm not. That's the thing. Boston is really selling low. But if they're really fed up with them, or not fed up might not be the right word, but if they really want to break apart from them, I think their return is not going to be too pretty. Calgary, I don't even know if they would give Dubé straight across for DeBrusque right now. Really, I'm not sure that they would even do that. So I think Boston, unfortunately, might only get a second-round pick for DeBrusque right now. And as far as a player is concerned, an older winger, which, it's a really odd situation for Boston and DeBrusque. He could work out or just fizzle out. I mean, he's still young. How old is he now? How much cap room does Boston have? Chicago, Toronto. Boston Bruins have lots of cap room, really? Boston Bruins have $30 million in cap space. Wow. DeBrusque is only making 3. He's 24 years old. What is it that they don't like about DeBrusque? He only had 14 points in 41 games last year. That is ugly. Wow. Yeah, they could take Lauzon. We had Trent Frederick as a possibility too. I don't know. Have they put it on Lauzon, or are they? Because there's going to be so many defensemen out there. I'm not sure. But they got to sign. They got to protect Carlo, Grzelcyk, and McAvoy. There could be a team out there that could take Lauzon, like New Jersey, and still wouldn't give up too much for expansion. They could get a pick for that. But yeah, DeBrusque, you're selling really low. 14 points in 51 games, that's brutal. $30 million in cap space. Now, they got to sign Patrice Bergeron next in 2022, but at 35, he's not going to be getting a lot. Charlie Coyle, he's signed up, never mind. They don't have to sign, they could get Tyler Hall for whatever he's going to get. They got to sign Krejci. It's going to be less. They got McAvoy next year. That's going to take a chunk. But they're set up pretty good right now. Boston is set up pretty good. You could see them doing some serious stuff here. Part of it is Marchand's only making $6 million a year till he's 30. That is crazy. And then in 2023-24, they got to sign David Pasternak. So that's interesting. Now that opens it up. What the heck is Boston going to do? They could go nuts here if they wanted to. They got $30 million in cap. They could at least choose, what, $15 million of that? Well, Pasta could easily get $9 million. If he's only looking for 9, sign him right now. Give him $9 million right now. That. I mean, Panarin's getting 11, and he was signed 2 years ago. So if he only wants 9, sign him up long term right now. We haven't even talked about that. There's a guy. What if Montreal gambled on, I always forget his name. What if Montreal, or Boston actually, where is it? Why do I have a hard time finding it? Gambled on Tarasenko. What if Montreal gambled on Tarasenko? Or if Boston gambled on Tarasenko? Tarasenko is making 7.5 for the next 2 years. You probably wouldn't have to pay much to get him. But the question is his injuries. Yeah, the Rask is a big question. What about Tarasenko? Bill, you said that Montreal needs a veteran sniper. Tarasenko's a veteran sniper. Toffoli was eating it up last year, but was injured in the playoffs, I guess, pretty badly. So, I mean, like I said, I think they could look at it as we were really injured. We could give it another go and not throw everything. Columbus go after Tarasenko. Maybe. So they can keep Laine. But they need a center like hardcore. Tarasenko's a right winger. Laine is also a right winger, isn't he? I don't think you'd have to give up much for him, honestly. Like, he's asked to be traded. He's injured. He was injured all last year. Like, I don't think they would have to give up that much. The problem is cap space, but it's only for 2 years. It'd be worth a gamble, I think. We'll take a look. Like, I don't know how many. I don't think the lineup for Tarasenko is going to be long. Now, it all depends if teams' doctors get involved and they talk to Tarasenko's doctors and everything, and they figure that he might have a clean bill of health, then, you know, maybe maybe more teams would be involved. But I don't think there'll be that many teams involved. I guess the problem is you already have Gallagher and Anderson on the right side. You got a lot of righties. I mean, if you're going to move away from Ben Sherratt anyways, you could trade Ben Sherratt because Ben Sherratt and a pick. And then you're only getting, that covers like $4.5 million. How much do they have? They have $14 million in cap space. Sign Dano. Toffoli can play both sides. So then you'd have like Toffoli, Gallagher, and Suzuki on one line, and then Kokaniemi, Tarasenko, assuming he's okay. And there's not much for left wingers there if you lose Tatar. I guess that would be the big problem. You're looking at this roster and you still wonder how... Oh, I forgot about Caulfield. Caulfield's a righty. Yeah, unless Tarasenko can play the left side. I've never seen him play the left side. I don't know if it makes sense for Montreal. It does make sense for Boston, though. It certainly makes sense for Boston. I could definitely see Boston at least making a phone call there. And they could offer up DeBrusk. Like you would have, you would have Tarasenko on the second line then. And that would add your depth. As long as you know he's going to be okay, as long as you know he's not going to be injured all year or something crazy like that. And then sign Taylor Hall since you got $30 million and Krejci. And then you've got Hall, Krejci, and Tarasenko as your second line. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all, I would say. I think so, Lauren. Yeah, he could be a steal. I don't think 100% Dork. I don't think St. Louis has all that much leverage here. The guy's making $7.5 million. Everybody knows he wants out, and he was injured last year. I think they'll be pretty happy to get any return back for him at all. Pretty sad. But Lauren's asking, I think Smith will be a guy that they're looking to pick up a center with. Vegas, that is. $7 million to stay in Boston. I wonder. Well, we'll see. I don't know. $7 million. I mean, he took a 1-year, $8 million there. Where else is he going to go? I've heard Toronto mentioned just recently, and who was it that said that? I think it was Weichel that kept on saying, Hall to Toronto, Hall to Toronto, Hall to Toronto. He might end up being right, but I think that might be a way to get this contract a little higher. But anyways, back to the question for Lauren. Does Vegas trade a winger? I think they have no choice, Lauren. They got to get a center there. And Tuck can play in the second line. So I'm thinking Smith. I think they'll be holding Smith out there. The problem is it's pretty hard to get a second line center for a winger. Especially a winger that is isn't really purely offensive like that would be the problem there. I don't know who they're going to get back for a center for a winger. They might be able to go. I think Calgary's done with Monahan. $6 million. They could trade Smith for Monahan, and then maybe Calgary holds a little bit back. just a suggestion, but there's not too many centers out there. And I don't know, somebody could offer more than that. Monahan had a really bad year last year, so. Yeah, when they made that trade, I was like, hey, boy, that's that could come back and bite them, and it looks that, yeah. If they had Suzuki right now, they would certainly be a better team for the long term. And wingers are easier to find. I didn't like that trade right from the get-go because Suzuki looked like he was going to be a point-a-game center. And centers are really hard to find, especially for an expansion team that, doesn't have a lot of draft picks. So, yeah, I don't know. Is he worth $7 million? When you look at what's available out there, I mean, it's really slim pickings to find players to play on the wing. Like, it's easy to say, I did this too. I was looking at some players out there like JVR in Philadelphia. I was like, who's going to want JVR? But he had 40-some points last year in 50-some games. If you look at the list of wingers that had that kind of point production, there isn't that many. So when it comes right down to it, they may take a risk on Hull. Hey, Hockey News, you're back again. Glad to have you back, buddy. I mean, when you look at what 7 million guys are, JVR is a $7 million guy. I guess you could say he's overpaid, but I don't think Hoffman's going to get paid that much. In St. Louis, it became pretty obvious he was a power play specialist. I don't think he's going to get paid much more. And not only that, he's been traded away from Ottawa because of room problems, because of his girlfriend apparently. And then with Florida, they said things like, look at the guys that they brought in from Florida. It looked like he wasn't what they wanted as a leader in Florida. And he goes to St. Louis and he doesn't light it up. So it's going to be difficult for him. We'll see what happens with Raskin, this consistent hip injury. And he's always hinting that he could retire any time and all that. I wouldn't take Hoffman if I was the Habs, but you never know. He can score. He's a power play guy. If I had Hoffman, I would play him like very little on 5-on-5. He would be just a power play specialist. Those are important to have, but I don't want to pay like huge for it. Well, you mean he won an MVP, Hull. I think he's probably a 60-point guy in the league right now, Hull. So, does a 60-point guy in the league give you 7? Not for a long-term contract. I don't think they'll go long on him. If he wants like 5 years for $7 million, I don't think Boston does that. Maybe 3, 2. Yeah, Rask. We'll find out what the injury is situation because he's talked about. He's kind of given indications of possible retirement. So I don't know. But that's my full 42, guys. And I was going to stay longer, but I just got a message, and Caroline, who is my wife, has got to needs me to come get her right away. So, all right. There's no use signing Hall and not signing Krejci. If they sign Hall, they're going to have to sign Krejci. But I got to let you guys go. So I won't be on tomorrow. I'll be on Monday. And then again, Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to be on evenings from now on. So, yeah, thank you for coming in. 100% dork. We're going to build this nerd colony up here. There's got to be more hockey nerds out there than this. We'll try in the evenings. We'll see how many people we can get in. But you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming in, and enjoy your weekend. I'm going to the mountains now. Okay, bye.